Welcome to the third session of Patanjali Meditation 101. And as you know, first 6 sessions of this course are basic module and that we call as Patanjali Meditation 100. So first 6 sessions are common, and then the rest of the 10 sessions are part of 101. So we are looking at basics of Patanjali meditation, and we have seen that we are following Patanjali's scheme of Ashtanga Yoga, 8 steps, and out of that, as far as the practice element is concerned, we have borrowed 5 steps that correspond to our domain of body domain, breathing domain, which is a non-voluntary force, which body does almost in automated manner in our background. Then there is a third domain of outer mind, the outer part of the mind that connects to the body. And then there is a inner mind, which is where I get all the knowledge, information from my 5 senses. That is what Patanjali calls a chitta. That is my desktop. That's where I am functioning always. And this is me, my soul, myself, my consciousness. So we have, as we intend to go in meditation, while we take a seat on some comfortable place, then we have these 5 steps. We discipline our body in a body posture. Up till now, we have been practicing a simple posture called Sukhasana. Then we regulate or discipline our breathing, in particular, make it deep breathing, what can be called as abdominal breathing or diaphragmatic breathing. Then we are approaching our outer mind and we instruct our mind, we give it a command, so to say, or instruction, and that is given by a code word is O. When we say that, we hope our mind will learn to become calm. The next step is we focus our mind between our 2 eyebrows, and then we hope our mind will be settled there, inactive and settled. And then when the opportunity is very good, I can, when actually my mind is thoroughly inactive, void of any thought, then I am able to disconnect from my mind. Like I like to give an example of the car. When you bring a car to stationary position, then only you get disconnected from your car. And then you walk a few steps to meet the person whom you wanted to meet. So that is what this last step is there. When my mind is thoroughly inactive, I disconnect from my mind. And then sometimes I say we walk into our cave or we walk, because the previous step number 4 was to focus the mind at the eyebrows, between the 2 eyebrows. So we are more or less observing our forehead, and with your eyes closed, you will see almost nothing. And sometimes I have called it as you are watching a sky. It is endless sky, homogeneous sky, nothing is happening. You just imagine as if you are walking into the sky. Sometimes I have said, you imagine a bird is flying into the sky and you are watching that bird, and in normal circumstance, that bird will vanish and then there will be nothing. So if you are hooked into the sky, it is nothing there and you are hopefully absorbed there. That is called state of meditation. And then up till now our guideline was, you are in meditation, but suppose a thought wave is striking you, then again re-instruct your mind with that code word, oh, rather than entertaining that thought. And once you begin to entertain, you get into it, and then you are no more in meditation. So last week we discussed this. If I am in meditation and somehow I begin to, a thought wave comes in my domain of mind, and I become aware of it, and I even get entangled into it, then we discussed so-called meditation loop, that you temporarily you come out of the cave and come back, depending on the strength of the disturbance. Today I want to start the session with a question, and that reminds me to tell every one of you, those who are present here as well as those who are in distant mode in webinar, that please feel free to put forth your question to me. Write to us an email, whatever comes in your mind related to this course. Our objective is to teach this particular part, what is the scope of this course, in a very thorough manner. That is our objective. And of course, it is a two-way process. So we must both, you have seen it, I expect you also to be serious here, and I expect some commitment from you also. And of course, we are also committing, as much as we can. So let the whole exercise be as good as possible. So, of course, we want to teach you how to calm down your mind. It is a working day, you come back here, you come from work or wherever it is, you are tired. So we do want you to experience slight relaxation of your mind. But because of my, I have certain agenda, I want to educate you on certain very difficult issues these are, but not only just by talking. That's what we say, it is talk and walk together. So it is earnest desire that I pass on to you whatever I can do it. And I really believe this knowledge is not easy to get. It's not, there is a lot of people talking too many things, but the authentic knowledge of Patanjali, yoga, meditation, I have suffered a lot. It has been a difficult exercise. So, I want you to be fully involved, but I know you have a lot of other commitments, family, work, etc. But try to be uh, as much absorbed as possible. Make best use of this opportunity. So write to me an email if there is a question, and then maybe I will respond to your email, or if I think that is of general interest, I will take it up here. So today we are taking a question which came from one of you. It may sound like a long question, but let me give you the background. The question is more related to the last mile, how to go successfully from step 4 to step 5. That is the major part of the question. Of course, somebody will say that's what we discussed last week. But what we discussed last week in meditation loops is more in a gross manner. Today you will see the question is from a gentleman who is quite proficient in meditation, has been practicing for long, and then the question is related to fine tuning. I will say it is more fine tuning. You are in the cave alone, more or less. There is not quite a discrete thought. Sometimes you have a dream, you come out of sleep in the morning, you can describe the dream. That is very much a distinct thought. But sometimes you have a faint idea, there was a dream, but you are unable to recollect it. So that is kind of a situation here. The gentleman is very much in the cave, but mind is not absolutely calm. Something is happening in your chit, in your mind screen. So as you will expect, this is a very long transition from step 4 to step 5. And every one of us will take his own time and not to be bothered. But of course, in the spirit of that gentleman, you do want to move forward one step further and further. This is kind of an endless journey almost. And the beauty of this journey is wherever you are, you will be gaining some benefits. And one of the benefits will be you will make progress also. So that is a beauty of Patanjali's prescription, that wherever we are gaining some benefits. And today's topic is more related to very gross aspect of deep breathing. And today you will see, though we sit for 2 minutes, 3 minutes of deep breathing, but that can also bring enormous advantage. So, this is such a gold mine, I like it. Let's take this question. It may sound like a longish question, but it's not that much long. Let me read it out, and you hope you are also reading along with me. So, the question is presented in 4 slides. In the first slide, I am saying it is mainly related to the step 4 to step 5. So the question begins like, permit me to frame the question by first relating the concept of the soul and the chitta, what we call as mind skin, likened to the thumb in the fist analogy. That is what we discussed in the session number 1. However, when one is going through the 5 stages of meditation, or I will say 5 steps that we have seen in the previous slide, and they get to the stage of focusing the mind between the 2 eyebrows, that is step number 4, then instructing the mind to stay there. Now, this instructing word should not be confused with the step number 3. Here, the gentleman is saying, I am already on the step number 4, which corresponds to dharana, and when I have focused my mind between the eyebrows, and now the gentleman is saying, I want to further instruct my mind. The word instruct should not confuse you, to become calm so that I can walk into the cave. So the word instruction is related to this part. Jump from step number 4 to step number 5. The word instruction has nothing to do with step number 3. So instructing the mind to stay there and do not disturb the I or the me, and then proceeding to the next stage where the I or the me walks into the cave or walks into the light of the sky, and you can see yourself disappearing into the cave or the sky. How is this possible? Because that's our training. These years of life, we have trained our mind to be thinking. Our mind is a thinking machine. So at our kind of age, you are 40, 50 or whatever it is, in this kind of age, we think that everything should be expressed in the nature of a thought. So even the jump from step 4 to 5 is one is articulating it as a thought. And that's where the challenge is. Actually, step 4 to step 5 is to become void of thoughts. So there is a kind of tussle between me and my mind. What am I expecting? So this is what is a common, any beginner will find it, what is all this going is actually from step 4 to step 5. Because if you want to achieve something, if you want to walk into the cave, this itself is a thought, that I want to walk into the cave. And if you are loaded with this thought, then it's difficult to become void of thought, isn't it? So you have to somehow come up with a strategy, and it is very difficult to define this strategy. As a teacher, for me also it is difficult, but we are trying our best. So these words like going into the cave, going into the sky, all this, please take it as a prototype. These are prototype, and you don't want to get lost into the prototype. Prototype is to suggest you what we want to do. But if you are so much burdened with the prototype, that itself becomes a thought, and you are clinging to that thought itself. So that goes against the spirit of being void of thought. And you have to finally find a strategy, this jump from step 4 to step 5. Having said all this, I might have confused you more, but I again want to stress that don't get too much disturbed. Wherever you are practicing, you should just have an idea. I want to be word of thought. And if something is happening in my mind, then that is nothing but a thought. I want to minimize that. And believe me, with genuine practice, you will make progress. And wherever you are, certain benefits are coming to you. That is coming to you. So no effort is going waste. And every one of us has to go through these steps. So no problem. This is part of the game. Further question is continuation. As I was attempting to meditate last evening in the hall, when I got to the stage of focusing the mind between the eyebrows, I was successful. But I was stuck there because I kept hearing your previous instruction played over and over on my chitta, saying, see yourself walk into the cave or into the light of the sky. And my mind is thinking, how is that possible? So, we are giving some, I am trying to give you some guideline, and that itself is becoming a thought, and you are becoming burdened with that. Now, it continues, how can I, who is my mind, in my opinion, leave my mind behind? Now, there is an analogy of mother and child also, which we used last time. How can I leave my mind behind on the stool where its mother told him to sit and proceed away from my mind, which is I, in my opinion, into the cave? How is this possible? Now, this later part of this slide is trying to say, as if the gentleman is saying, I consider my mind as my I. Now, there is a further kind of contradiction. My mind is me, and how can I leave my mind behind and go somewhere else? That is again, but it is not that much of a problem, as you will see in the next part. He does come back to what Patanjali's view is, that my mind is my instrument and I am the soul, and the whole game is meditation is to take an authority over my mind, where I want to develop another relationship with my mind, that he gives importance to my instruction. My instruction is to calm down so that I go alone somewhere, delink from my mind. And that is the ball game we are discussing here. So there is a last part of this slide maybe saying, as if the gentleman hasn't picked up that I, he's trying his best to interpret the situation. At this point, it looks like he's interpreting my mind as my I, but he's aware of what Patanjali is saying. That will be clear in the next slide. Now he says, that's where I got stuck for the rest of the meditation exercise. I kept trying to figure out what that process is. What does it really mean? All I can come up with so far is that the mind is I, is me, and therefore, how can I leave my I behind? It is my I which directs me into meditation. Yes, it is through your mind you are learning the Patanjali's prescription, everything else, and that is what is challenging. We are learning through our mind to how to calm our mind, and finally how to disconnect from my mind. It is my I which directs me into any activity or non-activity for that matter. So how can I become mindless by leaving my I behind, when it is my I that directs me to the attempting to the mindless? So there is a slight, this contradiction is amplified, that if I am my mind only, then it doesn't work out. Theoretically, it is not possible. So now he comes back in his last statement that indeed my soul is my consciousness. So then he says, now one may say that the soul is the I or the me that is being referred to here. But my understanding of the soul is that it is that which allows the being to be alive. That's what, when my soul is in the system, I am full of life, I am alive. The whole structure is conscious, to be conscious, and the soul does not participate in anything or isn't doing. That is also true. Whatever is happening in the body and mind. My soul remains unmanifest, but it is connected, very much connected to my mind. That's what is Patanjali's philosophy. Because when I am watching, just like when you are in a cinema hall, you almost become a part of that cinema, whatever it is showing. So that's what our life is. I am just merely I am an observer watching whatever is happening on my chitta, on my mind skin, but then I begin to feel as if it is all happening to me. And that is why I want to take charge of my life, and that is what the objective of meditation is. So this was a long question. I am very happy that somebody has poured out fully, he has all his dilemmas he has written properly. And please feel free to, if you have a question in mind, you can write to us like this. Now, in response, I have two slides. Of course, the soul is I, that is the pure inherent consciousness, which is never changing, which is the owner of the instruments of body and mind. But in this life, in so many years, that whole equation has gone upside down, that my instrument of my mind, I seem to lack my authority over it. And that is what I am trying to regain through this art and science of Patanjali meditation. So body and mind are my instruments. So step 4 was an attempt to bring my mind to rest and void of any thought. And then step 5 is ideally it corresponds to void of any thought. And then I have gone into through a transition phase, and finally I am in my cave, not even aware of my mind, not even aware of my body. This is easy to say, but today I am trying to say it is a long transition phase. It is a long transition phase, and I will say we have succeeded enough if nothing is happening in a dynamic sense, though your own awareness persists. So, now I am trying to bring out some ideas which may help you in fine tuning this journey from step 4 to step 5, which is what quite is very challenging and is central part of the challenge. So I am using certain keywords today, dynamics sense, as if nothing is happening. Now I say how to distinguish between. So on the one hand is your pure awareness, consciousness, and at the other end is thoughts. So when you are in step 4, then when you hit your eyebrows, you are focusing there, you have some thought, and by focusing your mind between the two eyebrows, you are intending to diminish all that. You are almost telling your mind, do nothing and just sit there. And hopefully that is quite reasonable. You will gain that proficiency. But then end of step 5 is you have just awareness of your own consciousness and nothing else, no thought, nothing. So this is almost like two extremes of a wide spectrum. And that is what I want to say. There is a long list of dynamics there, and lack of dynamism is the key. And that dynamics, I am using the word time there. So, if something is happening, there is a concept of time. If something is moving, that means there is time. So, if you are deeply in step 5, when absolutely nothing is happening, I will use a word timelessness. I'm using some new terms. I hope they will help you. If you have further questions, no problem. We will discuss it further. So today I am saying, if you are really deep in meditation, absolutely nothing is happening. It means there is total lack of sense of time. You have come to a state of timelessness. I like to use the analogy of sleep. So look at step 4 as a dream state. So when you wake up in the morning and you had a dream, that is like an event that was happening. So when something is happening, it happens in the parameter of time. And sometimes, look at step 5 is you woke up from a very, very deep sleep. When you woke up from a deep sleep, you have no sense of time. Ideally, you will not know what time it is now. You will need the help of your clock or something to know how long was I in sleep. Otherwise, you have lost sense of time. So look at deep sleep is a state where you want to be in step 5, but in conscious mode, whereas step 4 is just the journey where you have some idea of something is happening. Now again, we just give you some prototypes. I have already given you prototypes such as walking into the cave. This is what is from step 4 to step 5. Walking into the sky, getting lost, watching a bird flying deep into the sky, and hopefully the bird gets vanished. Then you are again thoughtless, you are void of thought, nothing is happening. Basically, all this is to encourage you to go into nothingness. That nothingness, when nothing is happening, there is no sense of time, you will be here. So that is what is our objective. Today I have again talked about another prototype, like as if you are in sleep. So you want to go into a meditative state, which is corresponding to deep sleep, deepest sleep. I don't want to use much of Sanskrit words, but there is a new word I am using, Sushupti. Sushupti is a deep sleep, supt, and then prefix su means very well slept. That deepest sleep is called Sushupti. And when that is not when you are lying down, but in sitting mode, in meditative state, then you have your awareness. So in Patanjali's chronology, it is called Tujiya Avastha. It is also a strange word, just fourth state. So, nowhere in philosophy they decide this state. They don't define this state. They just say this is fourth state. So that is our handicap also. We cannot describe this state because it resembles with nothingness. So when there is nothingness, how can we describe it? So that is the challenge here. So we have used these prototypes. Last time I used again child on a stool, as if mother is not even aware of the child, because child is definitely inactive, not taking mother's attention, and is absolutely obeying mother's command and is staying put there. So we have used all this. Today I am now using another analogy. Imagine being in meditation is like going deep in a well or going deep in an ocean, Pacific Ocean, the deepest ocean you can imagine. The reason I am giving this analogy is because treat your mind as a vast, deep ocean. It is very easy to say mind is small, but it's a highly complex domain we are talking about. So treat your mind as a deep ocean. At the surface of the ocean, there are big waves. That is like when you are very active, there is a lot of things are happening on your mind. Now, as you are going deeper into the ocean, you will see that there is much less of ocean current. And very deep, 7, 8 kilometers down, almost still water. The reason I am saying is this transition from step 4 to step 5 is easy to say it is just one step, but it is a very deep ocean. So you imagine less and less happening, you are going deeper and deeper. So now I give you another, which is opposite analogy. You went deep in the ocean. Now you imagine you are climbing uphill. Because this helps me convey certain things which I want to convey. My objective is to encourage you in this complex journey and not to give up. Now I'm saying, imagine practice of meditation is climbing uphill, like Mount Everest. You climb a small portion, then there is a plateau. You are walking there for maybe a few days, few weeks, maybe even few months. Because all of us, we are practitioners. On certain plateaus, certain people will be just for a week, but somebody may spend a month there. Then comes next climb, you make a success, then you are on a higher plateau. Then again you are practicing, again at a higher plateau. It goes on, it goes on. That is, I think, is a good way to describe this. All of us are beginners and we are trying to climb uphill. At the very end, when you are reaching the summit, just imagine you are so tired and now your legs are so tired, you are taking the help of the catches. Now again, I am bringing an analogy because I have no other way to describe all these things. So imagine your catches, which was there since the beginning, is your mind. And mind is the catches are helping you to climb up and up. But at the very last step, at the very last step, at the summit, there is just enough room for your 2 feet. You cannot go on the summit with your crutches because there is just room for your 2 feet. Imagine what will be your last step. You will climb your last step with the help of the crutches. As soon as your 2 feet fall on the summit, you will throw away the crutches, isn't it? So crutches are your mind. At the very end, you will disconnect from your mind and then you have reached your summit. So look at this journey like that. Then what is happening? Then I am trying to describe this whole journey going through so many steps. First is you came here first time and you were challenged with bombardment of thoughts. They were discrete thoughts. For those people, I say meditation loop, which we discussed last week. That's why I discussed right in the after first week of your practice, second session, so that you don't get afraid of those bombardment. You at least handle them so that you are successful in fourth step and you are beginning to walk in the fifth step. Now, as you go to this journey of fourth to fifth, look at these are the milestones, rapid succession of thoughts. Now there is not so much of thoughts. One discrete thought comes, you are able to get away from it. You buy some time. Then a second thought comes. Now you have made progress. Not too many thoughts, one after another, a few discrete thoughts. And then a single thought. That's where this gentleman was. He came to a point that there was a thought. Thought was that I want to become void of thoughts. So that was bothering him. So he has already gone through certain plateaus. And then some of you will notice, like he will notice if today or a week later, that there is no distinct thought now, but something is happening in the sky. Some colors come, there is some visual image. I think so. If I ask you to raise your hand, can you raise your hand, those who are in meditation and some sort of visual images come? Please raise your hand. So that is this stage. You have a visual image, but that is also something is appearing on your chitta. When we Patanjali say chitta vritti nirodha, even that should vanish one day. But you don't have to be bothered that there is an image. This is a part of this journey, isn't it? This is a part of this journey. So don't get disturbed. All these are milestones, these are the landmarks coming in this journey. Wherever you are, try to enjoy it. You have succeeded enough. And of course, there is a further journey to be accomplished. And then these images will be changing. So that usually I'm using this word because now there is dynamism. Image is coming and moving. So now what do we want? a well-sustained image. There is an image, blue sky, but this is well-sustained. That is Patanjali's statement, Pratyek Tanata. What is Dhyan? The Pratyay, that prototype, is now Ek Tanata, that is well-sustained. Isn't it? Whatever was the prototype, a stars or blue sky, whatever was the prototype, the well, the ocean you were diving in, whatever was the prototype, that was a help to focus your mind, and then diminishing the image part on the mind, eventually you want raw mind escape. Then finally, I say that, and maybe some of you have noticed, you are deep in meditation. Then you say, okay, my meditation is getting away. I am coming out of it. But then I notice I am not able to lift my hand. I am not able to unlock my fingers. Have you noticed like that? Anybody? So, when you are deep in meditation, now you want to connect your mind and body, and you notice I cannot lift my hand. That means you are quite disconnect from your mind. So, I am trying to describe the milestones between step 4 to 5. Wherever you are, no problem. This is a journey you are going through, and two things will happen. At that particular station, whatever benefits are supposed to accrue, you will be getting them. And one of the benefits will be you will become deserving to walk to the next milestone. So that is the way this whole thing goes on. Okay, it took too long. Now we move on. I thank again for this question because that brings me to this very important point. Otherwise, I might not have devoted this much time, and this is very relevant to all of us because this is where a lot of people give up. I know it. But I say again and again, please don't give up. And again, I say, please do daily practice. Otherwise, you will not understand and grasp what I am talking about or what Patanjali is talking about. So last week, we covered chapter 8 of that particular ebook, page 53 to 55, which describes the strategy of meditation loops so that I can return back to the cave. And today we will cover chapter 2. So I am going back and forth, page 10 to 14, chemistry of metabolism and how abdominal breathing, diaphragmatic breathing helps us. This is, of course, we have seen this slide in the session 1. I am body, mind, and soul. This is my non-voluntary forces, background forces. In particular, breathing is there. Notional station between body and mind. This is what we are discussing today. What is going to happen, and that corresponds to step number 2 in 5-step strategy of Patanjali, the deep breathing. Abdominal breathing, diaphragmatic breathing. Note the sequence. If you go to visit a doctor, he puts his stethoscope, he says, take a deep breath. What do? You breathe in as deep as possible. But you must have noticed on the day 1, I talk about breathing from the step, it's a cyclic process. Exhalation of air and inhalation. So like day and night, one could say it is day, night, day, night, or one could say night followed by day, again night and day. Wherever you start from, it is all the same. But in this particular course, we are very particular. We always talk about exhalation first. And indeed, it took me a lot of time to get this image on the internet because all images were first inhalation, then exhalation. So I got it with great difficulty. So first is exhalation. When abdomen contracts downward, you are throwing out the air. So you are emptying the lower balloon, what I call, and then you fill up this balloon. Naturally, abdomen is rising, expanding. So this is our sequence. It's very common sense. If I empty my volume better, I can fill in better. For that particular reason, we insist that let us do exhalation first and inhalation later. Some of you find it difficult, but with practice, this should be okay. Now I want to discuss, it is 6:39 in my watch. I want to devote last 15 minutes to meditation, so slightly fast track, but hopefully without compromising. So I like to use many engineering analogies. So today I am using an analogy, human body as an internal combustion engine. So in my professional life, I devoted about 20 years to these internal combustion engine and their mathematical simulation, etc. But let's see it from a very simplistic point of view. An engine, like in your automobile, it runs on fuel and air. Engine requires fuel and air, and we know the fuel consists of hydrocarbons, whether it is gasoline or diesel. They are complex hydrocarbon molecules with atoms of hydrogen and carbon embedded complex molecules. You will see the nomenclature is very interesting. If you ask a layperson, how do we survive day to day life? He will say, I need food. So you see, food corresponds to fuel. Similar, four-letter words. But he may not say quickly, I need food and air, but everybody knows, everybody enjoys eating food. So he will say, I need food to survive. And the food that we eat, it has number of nutrients, all kinds of protein, fat, and minerals, whatnot. But the energy producing nutrient is called carbohydrate. So look at these three pairs of words, fuel and food, and hydrocarbons and carbohydrates. Very interesting. So the food we eat has also complex molecules called carbohydrates. They have embedded atoms of carbon and hydrogen. Let's move on further. Not only that the nomenclature has similarity, you will be surprised that whatever chemistry takes place inside an internal combustion engine, almost similar thing is happening in our digestive system. So it's a very complex chemistry, but I am borrowing a simple reaction. In chemistry, we call it overall reaction, whatever it is. And this is something we are familiar with from our high school. In high school, we were taught that the air that comes out of the system is rich in carbon dioxide, CO2. And then if you do it with a lime water, then there is a chalk, calcium carbonate, it becomes, color is white and so on and so forth. But don't worry about it if you don't understand. I am not trying to confuse you, it's very simple. So what this chemistry is saying is, whether in our digestive system or in an automobile engine or in a large thermal power plant, this is representing the fuel of food I have eaten, and this represents the oxygen. Of course, in an automobile engine, it goes through the air filter, but here also we supply it to our breathing. So this is the air I am breathing, and at the bloodstream level, they somehow, this becomes hemoglobin and all that. Then they combine together. There is a chemistry taking place. So whenever the blood is circulating, that tiny drop of blood is going through this chemistry. And in the process, it converts, it produces carbon dioxide and energy. So that is where, wherever you touch our body, we have a temperature of 37 degrees Celsius. So wherever the blood is flowing, this small bio furnace is there always. That is beautiful, and that is what makes us storage of energy, and when I need it, I can do mechanical work, etc. I have produced some numbers here. These are called atomic weight, molecular weight, and not going into complexities. Just trying to say this 12 gram of carbon requires 32 gram of oxygen for its complete combustion process, so that it gives out its inherent energy. It has energy, that 120 food calories of energy, but it cannot give out unless it goes through this process. So it must burn fully, and then it produces 44 gram of carbon dioxide and 120 food calories. Very simple. Anybody can add 12 and 32 together and become 44 gram of carbon dioxide. And in the process, engine, the heat is produced, and in our case also heat, and then there is a complexity, it is made into mechanical work, etc. Let's ask a question. If somebody was not breathing well, like in an engine, air filter is choked, dust particles, so there is deficiency in oxygen supply, that is highlighted here. Suppose there is 50% deficiency in oxygen. Somebody can stop me. You are taking a very large figure, 50% deficiency. I know in an engine, if there is a 20% deficiency, engine will not work. But our engine is so wonderful, you will find it difficult to believe me, but there are human beings who are functioning with a deficiency of 85%. Their lungs are choked with nicotine. If there is a smoker who is chain smoking, nicotine has filled up his pouches so much, he is breathing only 15% of the capacity. But he is very much alive, though his lifespan has become shortened. So 50% is not enormous. I am not dramatizing it. It is reasonable, and indeed you will find it difficult to believe me probably. Most of us are here, at least most of the people outside of this hall. To you I give some allowance because you are meditation practitioner, so you might have improved slightly, but most of the human beings are breathing with 50% efficiency. And what is the biggest surprise? Nobody in the world is talking about should be the health issue number one. Nobody is talking about it. That is why Patanjali meditation is so important. Not only it will teach you how to breathe well, how to get good relationship with your mind, it will improve your physical health drastically, because oxygen is what the system needs badly. That is the survival system substance number one, and available in plenty, but we are undersupplying it greatly to our system. Let's quickly go through it. Suppose instead of 32 gram of oxygen, only 16 gram is available. Then how will the things add up? What will be on the right side? Previously there was 12 and 32. And somebody could easily add to 44, and 12 grams gives 120 calories. But now we cannot easily add. 12 plus 16, 28 gram of CO2? No. Because for all 12 gram of carbon to become carbon dioxide, it required 32 gram of oxygen. You have given only half of that, so only half of carbon will go through that chemistry. Only 6 gram of carbon will burn. With this other 6 gram will just, in an engine, will just get out of your exhaust pipe. It has energy, but it isn't liberated. That's what happens. Next slide. Actually, what will happen? Out of this 12, only 6 will participate through the chemistry. 6 and 16 will become 22 gram of carbon dioxide. And this 6 gram will give out 60 food calories. But you had eaten enough food. We don't compromise on the amount of food, isn't it? Indeed, many times we are overeating. But what is happening? This 6 gram is simply going out of the system. But not that easily. It has to be processed by liver and kidney to get all kinds of toxins out of it. You are putting in energy to process it. You are not getting anything out of it because your oxygen supply was deficient. So that's what tells us we should be very grateful to Patanjali. As we are learning meditation, we are deeper, we are breathing abdominally, diaphragmatically, so that we will come back to our natural breathing as we did as a child. And then our breathing may be probably 100% level. And then many things will happen. And that is what I will say in the next slide. But before that, as we do it, let's perform a meditation. Today I am bringing a new element, a pause. Pause after step 2, but before 3. Now this is like mother and child analogy. Just imagine your child returns from school, wants to hug you, yes, but the child is so curious, he has some story to tell you, isn't it? Child wants to describe what happened today. So if you tell him, no, quiet, just hug me, that is not natural. So that is what our mind is. Our mind has certain things to tell me. So when I am breathing deep, and before I go to the instruction mode to my mind, be quiet, let me give a moment to my mind. Maybe my mind is overwhelmed with something. It may want to say, after this session, I have to take out some cash from the machine, ATM, and this and that. Because he's your secretary. He is reminding you that is so important. If you say, no, don't tell me anything, that is not quite a harmonious relationship. So after deep breathing, before you give your command, you give a moment to your mind. Maybe it is overwhelmed with a thought, one or two thoughts. Be a good listener. Listen to him. Then mind will become calming down. Whatever he was overwhelmed with, he has communicated to you. And now we go on to step 3, 4, and 5. Nothing new. It's all our psychological game now. So we are moving on. Today I may take 4 5 minutes extra. I will try not to do it, but I'm slightly short of time. Please bear with me. Going back to my webinar room, and this practice, slightly cutting short the meditation. I would have liked to give it 15 minutes, but maybe just 10 minutes. And then I will just take 3 or 4 minutes in a particular slide. That will be the end of it. So we are ready. Please take your posture. If you forget, it was very simple. The Sukhasana posture. Spread out your 2 feet. Just bring them together so that your feet are under the thighs. I leave it to your instinct whether you bring left foot first or right foot first. Let your instinct do. We want to be natural here. So finally, the purpose of meditation, Patanjali meditation, is to become a natural human being, like a small child is. That is what is the ultimate objective of gaining proficiency in Patanjali meditation. You have taken your posture, taking care, your lower back, shoulder, and neck is in a straight line, but not too stiff. Here I give you a guideline, which I probably forgot. In your home, when you are doing it, if you have a problem, take the support of your wall. I want you not to get stuck with step 1, 2, etc. These are all means, not the end. The end is the real meditation. And if some of you have difficulty sitting there, sit on a dining chair, and I have given you all those guidelines. Now we are ready. Before that, just shake away any stiffness in your major bone joints, shoulder, neck joint, lower back, etc., so that you feel comfortable. And like I like to do like this on my face, whatever is natural to you. But relieve yourself Like I have removed my eyeglasses. Don't keep anything in your pockets. And at your home, very loose clothing. You just want to feel wonderful. We want to feel very good. That was our step one. Now we are moving to step two. And as I said, after step two, there will be a slight pause. Step two is a couple of minutes of deep breathing, diaphragmatic breathing. Then there will be a pause. Then we will recite, instruct our mind with that code word. The sound is Om. What is called Plut Om, if you know this Sanskrit. Otherwise, it is slightly longish vowel, nothing more than that. Then the step four, soon after, since we are together, we will recite 5 times. Soon after that, as soon as the fifth instruction word is over, focus your mind at the third eye, half a minute or so. You are confident your mind is settled there. Then walk into the sky that is present in your forehead. And today we have discussed this whole issue of step 4 to 5 at a greater length. So you adopt a prototype wherever you are, fine. The journey is fine. So that's where you are. And of course, I have given you one guideline. If there are distinct thoughts, recite that sound again. Again, tell your mind, oh, again, buy some time, some peace of mind. So you are left with all these options. Let's do diaphragmatic breathing. With breathe out, abdomen goes inward, and with breathe in, abdomen expands outward. Breathe out. Breathe in. 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 One more last cycle. Breathe out. Breathe in. Let's recite that code word 5 times together. Oh. We can gradually open our eyes. It was a bit short meditation, but if you hit the point of blank mind, then you will be feeling relaxed. And towards the end of the course, I also want to teach you a capsule of meditation. Just in 1 minute, how to regain that inner energy. Once you have practiced meditation, even for a few moments, half a minute or so, you are at that level, you feel energized, just like a sip of water, you know. Okay, just last slide, which I like to show at the end, benefits. Up till now, we have seen, yes, we will have better concentration. I can apply my mind. That has gives rise to work quality. I gain relaxed and calm mind. So if I become like that personality, I will be better in teamwork and relationships. Stay away from stress forever. Stay focused on work, and then it may take some reduced time for a task, which otherwise took longer, and that saves time. So that justifies how I can bring in a daily practice of meditation. And today what we have seen is if I am breathing deep, then all the food that I am eating will be oxidized and release energy. And indeed, some of you will see, if not by now, maybe in a week or two later, that you will be eating less food because food is being processed much better, energized better. So you are getting more energy and you need to eat less for that. So that much you can expect. Of course, this I have shown last time. Probably I missed out saying that for busy people, if morning and evening is difficult, bedtime is also a good opportunity. When your children have gone to bed, there is peace, and then you can sit few minutes for meditation. Thank you all for your attention. See you next week.